and welcome back. Have you ever thought about serving here in the community of the village? Well, Maggie Blackwell is the secretary for United Laguna Woods Mutual, and she's been serving for quite a number of years. There's an opportunity for you guys out there to serve in the very near future. Maggie, thanks for coming to the program.
Right, thank you very much.
So tell us a little bit about how you got your start. You've been in the village for how long, and what got you involved in the board?
I've been in the village 20 years, and I first started with the 18-hole golf club, and I was president of that and on their board for 9 years. And then some things came up in United that I wanted to talk about, so I started going to United meetings in 2013.
Is that how you got started on the for the 18-hole golf course? Because like, hey, you were a golfer, obviously.
Oh,
and
yes.
You said to yourself, hey, we can make some changes here.
Yeah, well, I thought, I don't like this. United was going to sue GRF, and I thought, oh, that's out of one pocket, out of the other pocket. No, no, no. So I got in on that, and it led me to being a director later, and I was a director of United for 3 years, and then I went on to GRF for a year, and then I came back to United for 3 years, and then I'm running again.
Okay.
So
what's it been like serving for yourself? Like what do you get from that? I mean, obviously you're active, you're engaged in the community, right?
Right. So, well, I had to give up bridge.
So there are some sacrifices.
Yes, and so it's been very rewarding. You learn more each time, and I am finally understanding the website better. It's improving, and I'm improving on it, and you find out so much more each day. If you go to the website, you find out a lot. But people need to be thinking about running for office right now.
Right, it's coming up a little bit later in the year, but just in terms of thinking about that, if you're going to consider running, like you did, is it usually folks who say, hey, I see an issue, and that's where you get most of your candidates, like I have a concern and I want to get involved?
Right, usually they latch onto something, they have an idea. It might be a misconception, but they have an idea, and they want to push forward that idea. And so they're usually well-qualified people, and some of them have hierarchical knowledge of how to give instructions, and it gets carried out down below.
Right, they maybe see the board as like a bunch of CEOs, and
Yes.
they can snap their fingers and they can make things happen. I'll come up to you, Maggie, and I'll tell you my problem, and you'll fix it real quick, right?
Oh, yeah, no. No, I won't, but I'll get you in the right direction.
Right.
So director is only one of 11, and that's the most important thing. If you have experience in committees, if you have experience in working in groups, usually charity funds and things like that, then, or church groups or whatever boards you're in, where people generally negotiate with each other all the time, have the experience that they need to be effective on the board. United Board this year is very good at talking with each other. We're very good at negotiating. And so we came up with these ideas for those who are considering running for office.
Right.
And my big suggestion is
some of the soft skills and maybe some of the hard skills that people might want to come or at least think about understanding before they decide they want to run.
That's right. Most people have one job thing that they have done or something like that. And so they are knowledgeable about how to run something, but now they need to know how to serve on something that serves so many.
Right, and they have to remember they're one of 6,323 units.
Exactly.
So it's not about an individual's need, or I want to get rid of these shrubs in front of my house and I'm going to run for the board.
That's right, exactly. And so you don't have a constituency. Only about a third to 50% of our people vote. Actually, it's only 33 to 40% that vote. So the rest of them are off having a good time wherever they are. And
they figure you guys are doing a great job, but
right,
I'm sure everything's fine.
Or they're saying you're not doing a great job, but they're not following. So people get an idea, I want to change this, I think I can do this. Well, it's a negotiating possibility. So we came up with these ideas of people.
And the first on the list, I think, is an important one. There's a lot on which a lot of people, I'm sure, say, oh, I just don't have the time to do that. So what is the real time allocation to serving?
On United, you have 7 committees, and you're supposed to serve on 3. And GRF has innumerable committees, and you're supposed to serve on 2 or 3 of those. United committees meet every month, so you'll have 3 of those, plus you'll have an agenda prep, and you'll have the full day on Tuesday. That is the board meeting and the closed meeting.
So like you said, there is a time commitment there, and you had to give up bridge.
I did.
But so people need to understand, it's not a paid job, but it's a job.
That's
in
right.
a sense, that you're going to be going at certain times for certain things. It's not going to be on my own time.
No, that's right. And new meetings are called. We have extra meetings this month on insurance and other things, and you have to go because you have to make decisions on it. So even I'm not an insurance guru, but so I have to listen very carefully at the insurance meetings and vote on what I think is the right thing to do.
Right. And then the real work happens in the committees, right? And they're the ones who are making the recommendations to the full board of 11 in terms of this is what we've come up with, this is what we voted on, and certain members of the board have served in the committee, so they have even more knowledge there, right?
Right. And so the staff does all the legwork for us. They produce whatever information we want. They go out and find experts, and they interview everyone, and they present us with staff reports. And we start from there, and then we go through whatever it is we want to do and what practices we want to have. And so we boil it all down to something which is recommendable to the board. And so that works very well. And so that when a resolution comes before the board, there are at least 3 directors who are quite familiar with it. And we often have staff speak to us too, so that we are not coming in blind and the directors are not coming in blind. And they have to read everything that they're presented before the meeting. And that's a bit of time too. And so they are ready to try to address the issues they see in the resolution from this side of the fence, and then someone else speaks from this side of the fence and over here and over here. And by the end of the conversation, you have a pretty good picture of how this will affect the community.
Right.
And that's what we need to know. And so then we have to make the decision that a reasonable person would make under the same situation. And so we are talking together all the time. We use reference points. If one of us have a specialty, we kind of talk to them about it, and then we listen to the staff report. We consider everything.
Right.
It isn't we come in with an idea, plunk it on the table.
It's just not how it
everybody
works.
said yes. No.
Not a chance.
No.
So you've gone through some of the bullet points in what you're giving as an example, right? Willing to get that time commitment, demonstrate some common sense here, right? Listens and learns, which is probably the biggest part of being a board member.
It's huge.
It's not coming in with edicts, but listening and learning to what the staff and the committees are telling you in terms of what they've found for certain issues, right?
That's right.
You negotiate with reason, not rancor. That's, I'm sure, is a very challenging one right there.
In years past, we've had a lot of rancor in meetings,
Sure.
but not this year.
Yeah.
We're reasoning with each other, and it's much more functioning board.
Now, if someone says to you, hey, like you're maybe talking to somebody, hey, you should consider running for their board, but they're not there yet, is serving on a committee a good gateway to understand what the challenges and what the time commitments are? If they say, okay, maybe I'll serve on a committee and get some experience at the inner workings before I jump in there.
You can go to any committee meeting you want, and you can go to any board meeting you want except closed session. So you can come to a committee and come to M&C and learn about all the project logs, or you can go to landscape and learn about the trees and gardens and things. So come to a committee meeting. You can watch them on TV. If you click on, you can watch them. You can join them on Zoom and speak at member comments, and you can listen and get the gist of how it works and what we're talking about these next few months.
Right, so you can get a really good handle on that by going to some of the committee meetings, seeing the work that they're doing,
Right.
seeing what it would take to do that, and then going to maybe some board meetings, or like you said, just even watching them in terms of what the processes are.
Right, right. It's always surprising to me when people are giving their speeches that they say, no, they've never been to a meeting before. And I think, whoa. So then it's a learning process. Not that they can't learn, but that's a lot to learn. We expect, because 1/3 of the board is rotating every year.
Right.
We hope those people will have some background of how we operate before they just kind of jump in.
And is that a challenge too, when you have great experienced people and they're, hey, I'm rotating out, I'm going to step down, we have new folks. There's a learning curve that goes on there, right?
There is. There's always several board members that are new and they are learning. And so I usually, as governing documents chair, I usually give them a list of documents they should read, and they think, oh my God.
Well, speaking of that, one of the things you're looking for is someone who's going to be willing to sit down and read the documents, not just how the board works, but reading the documents of the committee reports and those kinds of things. How important is doing your homework before you get to a meeting?
Oh, it's crucial. It's crucial. I've had committee members come in on a committee and stand up and shout at a committee, having not even read the second page of the agenda. And I think, oh, it's shameful, really. It's embarrassing, and it's very sad. So you have to read everything that's sent to you. You're given the agenda with a package and the staff reports beforehand by a week or so. And so read it through and note your questions and be ready to confer then with the other committee members. And if you're sitting in the audience, you can raise your hand and be heard on member comments or on any issue on the agenda. When the board members are discussing, then they will ask if there are any member comments. A member can make comments at that time.
Right.
And some of them are very good. So just come to meetings, get the gist of how it works, and then you will know. The more you go, the more you know. And the more you read on the website, everything is on the website, just find it, and then you will know what you need to know.
Now, you mentioned that people come to any open meetings or any committee meetings, but there are times when there's closed meetings, and there's a need for a board member to have that confidentiality of what goes on in those board meetings, in accordance with the Brown Act, obviously. So what happens, without giving away any specifics, what are some of the closed sessions where we need confidentiality? What are the issues that come up there that the board has to decide?
Well, sometimes it's member issues. If a member has had water damage in their unit and they're seeking whatever, and we bill them for it or we don't, or a member is violating some of our regulations. They have 4 dogs in the unit and they're barking all the time or something like that. Then we hear those, and we also hear contracts and insurance at that time.
Right, especially if, let's say, you get multiple bids on an improvement on roofing or something like that,
Right.
and those things have to be confidential in terms of what their price is, what their terms are, and all of those things.
Exactly.
Right.
We can't say anything about that, because then somebody else listening might jump in and try to interfere with the process we use of breaking it down from this many people to this many people to these 2 or 3 businesses, and then someone comes from way outside having heard a number or something, and they come in and try to undercut. So we can't do that, so we have to be sure that is in closed off.
And when you consider running for office, one of the things you have on the list here is recognize United's purpose. So how would you surmise that in any kind of way? What the real purpose of this board is, and what your functions are?
Okay, it's on page 2 of the governing documents of the bylaws. Okay, we have to look after the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. And then we have to run the corporation in an effective manner. And so that means we consider always the bill of everything, but we have to consider the health, safety, and welfare. And so we have smoking issues and things. If we consider those, then we have to consider the health, safety, and welfare of our people. That is what it's all about. And we try to preserve the property values, try to keep the units up, and try to manage everything.
So that's some big picture stuff, right? That people have to kind of look forward to the future generations. We're trying to do our best now to ensure that the future of this community stays on point.
We want United to last forever.
How important is it, like you said, there's been rancor in the past, how important it is to be able to disagree without being disagreeable?
Yeah, I think the most important thing directors need to know, and I think directors are surprised when they find out, they will be heard. We use Robert's Rules of Order in all of our meetings, and you will have a chance to speak. You might not right now because it's Helen's turn, and you might not right now, but in a minute you will. And so it's just, then people relax when they know they will be heard. You will have an opportunity to speak. You will, we promise you, you will at the right time, and you will have the fair time. And so then when you get that time, some people yell at how angry they are about not being heard more. They're wasting their time and not persuading us to the idea that they want to propose. So don't waste your time yelling at us. Just when it's your time to speak, just tell us what you want to understand. And that's all we need to know. And so don't be angry. You will get your turn. You will get your turn.
Right. There's a opportunity for your voice to be heard, and make the most of that opportunity instead of complaining you didn't get enough of an opportunity.
That's
maybe.
right. That's right. Well, we try and let everybody speak twice before we cut off the discussion. Some people speak 3 times if it's really working around and people are molding it this way and adding an ear here and a thumb there and a whatever. Then we have to work together, and we did double amendments this last time, and we amended the amendments.
Oh, wow.
And we had discussion on this amendment to this amendment, and we had to vote on that first. And then we had the amendment to the amendment, we voted on that, and then we finished, and we voted on the full issue. And so that's why it has to be done according to Roberts, and that way everything gets covered. And so you have to be patient, and you have to believe that the best and most effective way is to think about it beforehand, jot down your notes about why this point is important, and why this point will help members, and why this is the most expedient thing to do, and so on and so on. And so you discuss each of these things, and then after a while, everybody says, okay, and they come to consensus.
Right.
And that's the good part.
Yeah, and there's a consensus, and there's compromise, and I think people also need to understand that they're not going to always get their way all of the time, and that's one of those things where, like you just said, in the end, it may take a long time to get there, amendment on top of an amendment kind of thing, but in the end, you've done your job and you've been able to solve some problems or be able to move forward, right?
Right, and it is now a piece made by 11 people. And everybody's got their little part, and they're missing something that they wanted, but it was found to be less important than some of the other features. And so our resolutions end up being agreeable to everybody for the most part. Not perfectly, but agreeable to everybody. You can live with it for a while, and if there are other parts of it that show up later that aren't working out well, then we can work it over again. 6 months later, we can review it, or you can take it to committee, and we'll see what can be done. But usually when we come finished with it after everybody has politely spoken, people have a pretty good picture.
Now, when you came into this 20 plus years ago or so, did you have business and organizational experience when you came to the table, or you just kind of learned along the way, or said, I need to figure this out?
No, I was a school teacher for 22 years first.
And, God bless you.
And 8th grade. And when I was a school teacher, CTA was training teachers to negotiate for the teachers with with their boards.
Mm-hmm.
And so you had to negotiate contracts for teachers with the boards. It wasn't an individual thing anymore. So I got trained by CTA to negotiate contracts. And so I did that we had 90 teachers in my district. And so I negotiated for 12 years for the district,
Wow.
for the teachers. And then my dad died, and I had an opportunity to do something else. And CTA said, if you go to law school, we'll have you negotiate contracts for other areas.
Oh,
so I went to law school.
You came in with plenty of experience.
Yeah,
here.
I went to law school, but this is going far afield. Criminal law was so much more exciting, and evidence was more. So I went into criminal law, and I
Wow.
did that for LA County.
Well, to get it back to our field that we were talking
Right.
about, let's consider folks running for office. Applications for United Boards for 2024 to 2027. The term will be available late spring. Office of the CEO, Laguna Woods Village Community Center. You can pick up your applications. Make sure you look for it on the website, and more information is going to be coming up. And thank you so much for joining us.
Okay.
Maggie Blackwell from United Laguna Woods Mutual.
Thank you so much.
You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.